Does she endorse today?
It sounds like she's not going to endorse today. I think Nikki, they realized that there was no path to victory. There was no path in her getting the delegates needed to in any way compete with Donald Trump. So they faced the reality, although she still has money in the bank, which is, very telling. We know that candidates have stayed past this Super Tuesday, even if they were not going to be able to get the delegates to stay part of the conversation. I think for Nikki Haley, she's probably going to take a step back, not endorse immediately, but at the end, all eyes are going to be like, Nikki, when are you going to endorse? Because the alternative is so bad. When you're talking about Joe Biden, when you're talking about the far left agenda that's penetrated the United States, I think it's clear that she really, if she wants to be part of the next Trump administration, it would be wise of her to endorse pretty immediately.
Do you think it's problematic for her if she doesn't endorse him today?
Everybody has a shelf life. And Nikki Haley, I lived this. You're at the end of a campaign. You're part of the conversation. Once you drop out, every day your numbers start drifting down. Americans have very short memories, and you become less and less relevant. And if she doesn't endorse anytime soon, 2 months from now, no one's going to care whether she endorsed or not, because no one's going to think of Nikki Haley anymore. So she has a moment where she can enter into the. When I dropped out in 2012 after battling Mitt Romney, I asked for a meeting with him to talk about some things that I wanted him to talk about in his campaign and things that I thought were important for the movement, blue-collar conservative ideas. And as soon as I did, we had a meeting a couple weeks afterwards. I went out, I announced my support for him. That's how you got to do it. You can't if you wait, number one, you won't be invited to the convention. You might have MSNBC talking about you, but nobody who's a Republican is going to hear any of that. So if you want to be relevant to the conversation about where the party's going, and I assume she cares about that, maybe she doesn't. But if she does, then she has to act fairly promptly, because afterwards, no one's going to care.
So she can use all the money in her war chest right now for 2028 if she decides to run again. Is that yes or no?
Yeah, of course she can.
So she can. Okay. So she's got to be very strategic about this.
But she doesn't have that much money that it's going to. She might have $1 million or $2 million, something like that. I mean, that's pennies when it comes to a presidential campaign.
Well, Senator, I asked that because you look at 2008 John McCain. Okay, who was the runner-up? It was Mitt Romney, and in 2012 he was the nominee. That would mean that if you fought, that happens very often.
Yeah, well, I was the runner-up in 12, and I wasn't the nominee in 16. So I mean,
so exactly.
Ted Cruz was the runner-up, and he wasn't the nominee. I mean, so
she's not the front runner in 28 all of a sudden just because she was the runner-up, right?
No, I mean you have to you have to be in a position to where you can you fit into the mainstream of the party. And right now she doesn't. Now, 4 years from now, that could be very different. You know what? I mean, Donald Trump could lose the election. Things, the Republican Party could change a lot between now and then if things don't go well in this election cycle. So she may be banking on that. Maybe that's why she doesn't endorse. She may just say, I think things are going to go to, hell in a handbasket. And as a result, I'm going to stay away from this, let it fail, and then be the savior. That's a strategy. I'm not sure it's a likely scenario, but that's a potential strategy for her.
Look, I think the Republican Party has a deep bench going into 2028. First, you have to survive 2024. I think we all have to survive the election of 2024 because that is going to be, as President Trump said, it is one of the most critical times of our nation, based on the chaos, the uncertainty that we're seeing not only domestically but abroad, where people are looking for strong leadership and they're not getting it from Joe Biden. It's why you're seeing Joe Biden's coalition continuously fall apart. I think for Nikki Haley, she attracts the neocons. Yes, she might attract the rhinos and some of the more traditional Republicans. She lost so much of the MAGA support because of her constant criticism of Donald Trump, who, by the way, gave her a job, a very prominent job under his first administration. So I think hopefully they heal the wounds, move forward, and find a way that they can unite the party.
One final point I just want to make is, if she doesn't endorse and Trump doesn't win, she's going to be blamed. I mean, she's going to be blamed for not uniting. And if some of the elements that Nikki was appealing to end up to be the weak spot for Trump, which they likely would be if he loses, then she could be pointed as the person who caused the failure, not someone who is the future leader of the party.